they come, there are two.
Whoever's right in the front, if you can kind of just stay low, because your head is right.
You can get on your knees in front of you. Look at this, how gorgeous.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so I'm looking with the night scopes. There's no smoke, there's no trails, there's not flares. And
oh my goodness.
Let's welcome them here.
Oh, they're so beautiful.
They're waiting for us to arrive.
Alright guys, today we're talking about a name that gets thrown around a lot in the UFO community, and that name is Dr. Stephen Greer. He's the guy behind disclosure projects, the CE5 protocols, which I just learned about during this whole research of Stephen Greer. Interesting stuff, we'll get to that in a little bit. And a number of wild claims about government cover-ups, extraterrestrial contact, and I gotta be honest with you, I don't really believe it. And today, I'm gonna tell you why.
They are sitting on technologies that can change the world forever.
This technology would liberate Earth from fossil fuels, environmental devastation, and poverty in a single generation.
Like the end of the movie, where it's Steven Spielberg, the Raiders of the Lost Ark, when they're rolling the thing into this big warehouse top.
Where was this facility?
It was in the upper Midwest, is what I've been asked just to say. In an old schoolhouse facility that was cordoned off and looked like nothing important.
And the only way you can prevent people from being tricked is having the knowledge, the facts of what we actually have. So that's what I want to talk about for just a moment.
One of the first things you'll notice about Greer is that he tells the same stories almost word for word across different interviews. And let me tell you, this guy gets around a lot. He's got interviews with some of the most random people that you just wouldn't expect. Old NASCAR drivers, influencers, just all over the place. And I mean, hey, I get it. If you're trying to spread the word that you have all this information, getting out there is a good thing. But when you start seeing the same recycled talking points in every documentary, book, and speech, it starts to feel more like a rehearsed script than an actual insider knowledge. That's just personally how I see it. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room: money. If Dr. Greer is all about full disclosure, why does everything come with a price? Now, I did not know this really until I started digging in a little bit deeper. Dr. Greer, or Stephen Greer, has apps. He's got websites that are called CE5, which ultimately boils down to Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. And these apps were developed by Greer to help people connect together and to try to contact these extraterrestrials through a number of means, such as meditation or sharing their own experiences and things like that. Now, that's pretty cool all on its own, but looking into these apps, they're mixedly reviewed, with more odd reviews than positive. Some of the reviewers just straight up saying these apps are a scam. And I'm personally not willing to pay $10 to download an app that probably shares my data with the world. So I'll just go off of what some of these comments say of the reviews. But for someone that wants to share this information and to help people get this out there in the world, why charge for an app that really has no huge importance on how to do it? It just is a paywall to meet up with this community, basically. I just don't see where it's necessary to charge for an app like that unless you're trying to scam people out of the cause. As far as I know, is free, and there's plenty of communities out there talking about UFOs, extraterrestrials, and how to meditate to contact them. So if I really wanted to get in there, there's other alternatives that are probably more legit, in my opinion. Now, of course, if you're taking a trip, if you're going somewhere with Greer, I would never do it personally, but if you are one of those people that take those trips to see UAPs or to potentially see UFOs and things like that, then of course I could see paying for that because you have to accommodate your trip, right? Even though that's still all in a scam on its own, in my opinion, because they never really see anything other than flares falling out of the sky. But at the end of it, it starts to feel less like a truth-seeking mission and more like a business.
I had a major encounter with an ET craft, and the ET had some sort of little black rectangular box that was attached to him and was clearly receiving thought, and as if you would hear it, but it was a clear transmission through consciousness and thought. It was in English because apparently it goes through this sort of universal translator that is consciousness emerging into a thought. The skin color of, sort of a brownish gray, no hair, very fine lips, no external pinna. There's at least 60 to 70 species that have been cataloged, the people I've worked with. There are various sizes and what have you. One species that's about 39 inches tall. Some people call them advanced technology, others call them ARVs, alien reproduction vehicles.
For a guy who's allegedly contacted with extraterrestrial intelligence, you would think we would have some undeniable evidence by now. But instead, what we get is some low-quality footage, vague glowing lights, and some short stories that can't be verified. I know that there's a neat word for short stories. Anecdotes, that's it.
Well, I actually have a picture on my cell phone of 2 actual ETs that were present at a CE5 contact event. If you're at Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, you can see the film on Amazon Prime or Tubi. And so it's not on a Ring camera, it's on my iPhone. So if you could have them contact me, they can send us $1 million tomorrow.
Okay, do you have these pictures right now?
Yeah.
Can you show them on the camera?
Oh, I'd have to fish them out, but yeah, they're pretty amazing, actually. So this is one. And, he, very triangular shaped head, almost like a beak-like face. It was at an event we did out in the Arizona desert a couple years ago. There were about 30 witnesses to this. This photograph was taken with a really good Nikon camera by David Marconi, who wrote the screenplay for Enemy of the State. And it was during a reconnaissance and contact event we were doing there in the desert up above Tucson, up at about 4,000 or 5,000 feet. And it was a very unusual series of events happened. We have another one. I don't know if I have that one on my phone. That happened at Joshua Tree National Park about, 15 years ago. And quite spectacular. Everyone saw. And as a person took a picture of it, now this was under low light conditions, but it's very clear what it is. And it's an extraterrestrial being that's sort of levitating, floating out in the desert just outside our circle. So yeah, we have a lot of unusual material.
In my opinion, if Greer had real solid proof, why wouldn't he just drop it all for free and blow the whole thing open? He has a dead man's trigger so that if anything happens to him, the whole beans are spilled anyways. It just doesn't add up.
Let me pivot for just one moment. This will disturb you. You may not sleep tonight.
With him saying that we might not be able to sleep tonight just reminds me of how YouTubers use that in their descriptions for their videos. For anyone that doesn't know what I'm talking about, in the reaction scene where we react to conspiracy videos and things like this, one of the descriptions that seems to be really popular to put in your description, the description will say scariest videos found on the internet that might make you lose sleep, or something around that ballpark. And it just, when I heard him say that, it reminded me of it.
And I've known this for some time. But in the last 2 years, I've had 3 separate people who have been in comm centers, communication centers at classified bases, that have told me there has been intercepted communications from NHI.
One thing that really makes me skeptical is how much Greer talks about himself. He claims to have briefed high-level government officials, he's met with presidents, and he's had secret sit-downs with intelligence agencies. But if you look deeper, there's no actual proof that these meetings happened. The way he describes them, it's always, I can't reveal my sources, or I was sworn to secrecy, which conveniently means we can't fact check any of it, at least from the research that I've been doing. Now, he does have like those photos of those meetings, those CE5 meetings, and those just don't look very believable. And obviously, if you're having secret meetings, you're not going to be able to disclose all of the information, but that just makes it more hard to believe.
The little fine point here, I don't even think that's necessary, because in 1997, I wrote a letter to every agency in the U.S. government that required a response, or it was considered to be something we could act on. And it said, our assessment, having briefed the president and members of Senate intelligence and members of senior generals and admirals at the Pentagon, all of who had been denied access or threatened when they inquired about this, is that these projects are illegal. And because they're illegal, they can't enforce these non-disclosure agreements. But those folks, I've told them, you're free and clear. And that's why a lot of them have come forward publicly. That's a big one in Dugway. This gentleman firsthand had not been in it. He has the name of a scientist, senior scientist, U.S. government, that was at the Dugway facility. And he said that the complex that's underground goes out, it's about 1,300 square miles.
What's in there?
All this stuff.
You would think with someone that has so much pull and so much resources that he could just drop on any given moment, that he would not even be afraid to say, hey, yeah, I had the secret meeting and here's what was all talked about in the meeting. But it's always like I'm gonna bait you into watching this so you think that you might know what we talked about in the meeting. And that just seems like an entertainment tactic to me. Oh, and if you're wondering why I have my robe on, I'm recovering from the flu, so I've been kind of sweaty, hot, cold, and I was feeling really good, but then I just started to get a little cold, so I had to put my robe back on. So sorry if it looks a little different.
Folks like Grush and others who said, we've downed these objects and then we've reverse engineered them. Well, here's a news flash. Yeah, we've reverse engineered them, taken the ET technologies and flipped it on them. Now imagine that being done to any nation state on planet Earth. Well, we would go and clean their clock, right? And we would bomb them into the Stone Age. So, I tell people who have all these fantasies about the hostile aliens, I said, dude, what is that comedian? I can't fix stupid. What society or group on planet Earth of humans, Homo sapiens, would allow that and not hit back? Well, they haven't. Because they are fundamentally very evolved socially, spiritually, and every other technologically.
Another weird thing is how Greer keeps shifting his stance. For years, he's been pushing the idea that aliens are peaceful and the real enemy is the government. And I'm actually cool with that concept. But now he's also warning about a false flag alien invasion, where the deep state is going to stage some kind of extraterrestrial attack. So which is it? Are aliens our cosmic buddies, or are we about to get hit with Project Bluebeam? With someone that has close contacts with extraterrestrials and all of this equipment, it would almost seem like, why would extraterrestrials let a Project Bluebeam happen? And it also seems like he's covering all the bases, so no matter what happens, he can at least say, yes, see there, I told you that's what it was going to be, whether it's Project Bluebeam or it's actual aliens.
That is the biggest part of the secret. Actually, the powers that be in these covert programs want everyone to believe that everything that goes bump in the night out there is alien, and it isn't. And that is part of the false flag. It is a key part of the deception, the grand deception. So I think that we're going to have to be very vigilant, those of us in the disclosure community and who are seeking the truth coming out in a way that redounds to a beautiful future, that creates a new world, as the ET said to Colonel Corso, and not let it get diverted into something that is a dystopian future of militaristic approach. Right now, there's a militaristic approach to the ETs that's been covert. It won't be advancement and it won't be disclosure if it just becomes an overt event where the governments of the world are united around an alien threat, and that the only way they can bring peace on this planet is to create a war of the worlds. I mean, this is not progress, my friends.
And another thing about Greer is his fan base. Greer's been out here doing this for a very long time, so he has gained dedicated followers, that is for certain. And I have to say, for someone that talks about how peaceful aliens are and how he just wants the world to be a better place, Greer's community can get pretty aggressive if you start attacking at Greer. And I don't really claim stating your opinion about someone or your disbeliefs about someone as an attack. At the end of the day, if you just say, hey, I really don't like that guy, it's not an attack, it's just an opinion. And I might not be the only one that has that opinion, and I may be the only one that has that opinion. But whenever you see a Greer video online, and if you look through the comments, I can almost guarantee you he's going to have a lot of people praising him, and he's going to have very few hating on him. And the ones that are hating on him, they always get a lashback for stating their opinions or their concerns. To me, that kind of blind faith isn't healthy in any movement, especially one that claims to be about truth and disclosure. Look, I'm not saying everything Greer says is fake. There's definitely some shady government secrecy around UFOs, and I do think disclosure is happening. But when it comes to Dr. Stephen Greer, there's just too many red flags for me to take him seriously. Too many grand claims, not enough proof when you get down to the brass tacks of it all. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think I'm being too harsh, or do you agree that Greer is more of a businessman than a whistleblower? So let me know in the comments. I do believe that's going to do it for today's video. If you enjoyed, this is the first video I've ever done in this style, so I'm sorry it was not perfect, but I did want to actually do this video because I've always wanted to talk about Greer for a while now, along with some other people like Billy Carson, Daryl Lanky, I think, the guy that plays as Bashar. Like, there's a number of people that I would like to do these types of videos on to give my expression, my opinions, my thoughts on. So let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like, I'd highly appreciate that. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. I cannot thank you enough for supporting the channel in that way. So for everyone that's out there, I want to thank you again for stopping by and watching this show. And with that being said, have a good day.